Coming back to your starting point. Now we're at peppermint, receiving peppermint in my left hand, using my right hand to apply peppermint to the right foot. Checking again to make sure I'm facing my client. My body and my arm are directionally in alignment with the leg and the body. And third and final application with peppermint. And moving to the left leg. Receiving peppermint in the right hand, 3 drops, 3 circles clockwise, with the fingers on the left hand applying to the left foot. Second application. Again, as you start applying, watch the face of your client to make sure he or she is still feeling comfortable. There's a state of relaxation and peace on the face, that you're not applying too much pressure, overstimulating. Third and final application of peppermint. Any excess oil that is on your hand, go ahead and rub it off on the feet. Make sure they get the full benefit of it. Again, before taking the next step, bringing the thumbs down the inside of the ankles to the top of the ankle bones and bringing them together and checking to see if the legs are equal in length, which they are. Tip the feet up. Just put your thumbs there and tip them up as far as it'll go. And look at the toes and the pad of the foot, and also at the heel to double check for correct alignment. And we're good. So now we're ready to turn our client over. Okay, Mark. Bringing the sheet down, keeping your client draped well. And now the entire back is exposed. So walking around, looking at your client to just see the shape of the back, the alignment of the spine, how it looks visually, to see if one side is higher or lower, to determine if there's any discrepancies in shoulder height, volumizing in the back, throughout the lung region, the lower back, just to see if you notice any irregularity, and walking around, looking from the feet to the center of the head to see if anything catches your eye that might be abnormal. And then before starting the oil application, just run your hand over the surface of the body about 1 inch above the skin, and just see if you feel any temperature variation coming off from the back. If there's no differential or variation, then go ahead and make full contact and do the same thing and just slide the hand along as though it was a scanning device, just checking for temperature variation. Use both hands because you might discover that one hand is more sensitive than the other. Once you have completed the scan, then you're ready to go to the next step. With our client here, the uniformity of the temperature is very, very good. So now we're ready to start. And the same oil that we start with on the foot, first oil that we start on with the foot, the same oil we start with on the back, which is oregano. So anywhere from 4 to 6 drops of oregano, held about 6 inches above the spine, taking the fingertips, keeping the fingertips as square as possible on the ends. So it's a very uniform sensation for your client. And then just making 6-inch strokes. 1, 2, 3. Slide up the spine. 1, 2, 3. Slide up the spine. 1, 2, 3. Slide 1, 2, 3. And slide 1, 2, 3 to the hairline. Coming back, doing that again. 12-inch strokes. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And now all the way up. And do that again. And if the oils are not spread thoroughly, then you might need to come back if you have an area where the oil is still setting on top of the skin, and just give it a little bit more feathering. The purpose for this is a dual-fold purpose. 1, to spread the oils evenly along the spine. 2, the light feathering is to stimulate the nerve endings to wake up and open the receptor sites to receive the oil. And then come up and fan off the shoulders and back down, so you're creating a simulated effect of taking the oil off, following the nerves coming out of the spine to go to the internal organs and glands. And now we're ready for time. Same thing, about 6 inches above the spine. 3 to 6 drops is adequate. Your 6-inch strokes, moving up the spine. 12-inch strokes, and moving up the spine. And then full length strokes. And then again, fanning strokes. Same reason, same purpose, to simulate the flow of the nerves coming out of the spine. The idea and the purpose of the feathering stroke again is to be very, very light, just a feather-like touch to where it almost creates goosebumps. This is when you get the greatest response in waking up the nerve endings. Now basal. Basal is applied on each side of the spine as you go up. And again, if the oil starts to run and you see it, then just flick it back a little bit and spread it out until you've had time to catch it with the feathering. Now the purpose of dripping the basal oil on each side of the spine is because of the next step that is necessary to have enough oil applied that creates a little lubrication for the next process. And then we come back with the tips of the fingers again, keeping the tips of the fingers square. Right against the spine, right at the edge of the spine where you can feel it. Then putting your hands together, one thumb over top of the other so it keeps your hands almost locked together. Then, and palms flat on the back so there's no space. Then simply taking your fingertips and curling and pulling toward yourself in a circling motion, and as you come up and back around, you release. So you pull in, back towards you in a circular motion, around and release. Curl in, down, around and up and release. 3 times and then slide. Curl in, down, around, up and release. Curl in, pull away, around, up and release. So what you're wanting to do is pull that deep muscle, that loin muscle, like you're pulling it away from the spine so you can give more circulation to the blood vessels and the nerves in the spine. So again, the tips of the fingers, you're curling and squeezing in. You're not doing this with you're not pulling with your hand, you're not pulling with your arms, you're just squeezing with the tips of your fingers, pulling it down, around in a circle, and release as you come back towards the spine. Curl in, around, and release. Curl in, around, and release. Slide up, and same action. Continue up all the way until your little finger hits the base of the skull. And for people who have stronger necks, you might have to just probe a little bit more there to get in along those cervical vertebrae. To get in right, you want to get in right next to the cervical vertebrae. And just same process. And then keeping contact, walk around your client and the next side. Same thing, same motion. Coming back to the start point, and we begin the second application round. Same procedure, same process. And third procedure, third process. Same direction, same application, same technique. Now, if your client absorbs the oil quickly, and some clients will absorb the oil quicker than others, if the skin starts to appear to be drying and you continue this type of action, you could create a little skin irritation. So don't hesitate to take a little basil and just put a little bit more there, stroke it along just to create a little bit more lubrication, and then come back to finish your final application. And our final step for this part. Now, as you're going up along the spine, doing these circular motions, pay attention to what your fingertips are feeling to see if there's any lumps or bumps that shouldn't be there, that may need to be addressed in another way. Maybe you've got a knot in a muscle and it requires a little bit more attention.